Hi, hello. I haven't had the live chat turned on in so long that I was like, why does it look like the video was smaller? Well, with live chat turned off, there's no pane to view the live chat, so that would be why. I used to be like obsessed with this like side part type situation, but now I'm like, I don't really like it as much. My friend said I look like a villain with my hair behind me. He was like, "You look like a villain or something." I was like, "Wait." Anyway, this isn't about me or my hair. Well, it's not about my hair. Anyway, so we're just gonna see what's up. I think today. So last night I went to the gym, and anyway, I had a random aside. I had a question on like, is evening defined by the time or the position of the sun, right? Because to call like when the sun sets at 3:30 and it's dark by 5, I guess 5 is always like the evening, early evening. Like let's say it's dark at 4:30 or 4. Like it's 4 o'clock the evening in winter, but you wouldn't say that the evening starts at like 9 o'clock in the summer. Anyway, I don't know why that question just popped back into my mind. But anyway, well, probably because I was at the gym yesterday. And um, the moon was like really yellow and really low in the sky. So, and it looked pretty big. Maybe not like super moon big, but it did look pretty big. So I'm gonna pull. I have the four Kims. That's Kim Krantz's Wild Unknown Tarot, Animal Spirits, Alchemy, and Archetypes. And I have the Places Oracle. I think I'm gonna do a me in the collective today. That's just how I'm feeling it. Because my experience isn't necessarily the collective experience, and it isn't necessarily not. Um, that's just how I'm going to do it today. So I'm going to pull before and after the Queen and the Wild Unknown archetypes because I believe the Queen is the one with the moon on it, but it's like a yellow moon. Um, and then I'm going to pull before and after the gem in the Places Oracle. I think before or to the left is going to be me. To the right is going to be the collective. I'm just like aware because I may be going somewhere with my grandma today. I'm supposed to be going back to the gym with my number one fan today. Um, 55 division just came out, which is interesting. Oh, yeah. One on the left and one on the right. Cool. Me and the collective, and then this thing in the middle, which is the significators. Oh, I had a thought. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to look before and after the gym and the Places Oracle. Oh, gosh. This is too many cards. Karaoke, rainforest, post office, mountains, park, and amusement park. Bottom of the deck is the golf course. I'm just going to put them back in and shuffle it. And then we're going to see what's up. 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 What was the thought I had? I don't know. So that's what we're going to do. Before and after shopping mall. I'm going to put this back in case Vision wants to come back out. The stone is here. What's that? The offering 44. We just saw 55, the Vision. Cool. Me on the left, collective on the right. I feel like that triggered a thought and I don't remember. So, what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to pull the place and the archetype. So it'll be the archetype of that place. And then I'm going to pull before and after the corresponding number in the wild unknown alchemy. So, and it'll be the same. So the left of the left and the right of the right will be more so related to that, either me or the collective. And then in between will be sort of an interaction point, a bridging point, maybe, because I'm a part of the collective, right? I wouldn't necessarily say that I am symbolically representative of the collective, but I am a part of it. My brain is Mercury post shadow is different. It's different. I don't know. I feel like I was living in a bubble a little bit. It was a nice bubble. And it's not that the bubble burst, but there is a time of bridging, I guess, things, which is now. So, anyway, I'm going to breathe. You don't have to breathe with me, but you can if you want. Why am I like this? It's fine. It's fine. So I'm gonna pull before and after the queen for the big yellow moon and the gem because that's where I saw the queen. And then I'm gonna pull around the corresponding numbers in the wild unknown alchemy. So before, because I'm gonna look from the bottom of the deck. So before is gonna be me, and then after is gonna be the collective. So before the alchemy is like my internal process where I am, something pertinent to me, either where I'm coming from, where I am, where I'm going. And then after will be the side that faces the collective. And then I'm going to do the other one in the same. So before the collective will be the side that faces me. After the collective will be whatever alchemy is pertinent to the collective. And then I still have the animal spirits and the tarot. So for the animal spirits, I'm going to pull the corresponding number. So the interplay is the animal. So for me, it'll be after. For the collective, it'll be before. Because we're all animals that share this space together. Plants and animals, flora and fauna, living beings. And then I'll pull the number after in the tarot, and that's how I'm going to do this. That is how this is going to come together. Now, I don't necessarily have a ton of space, but I don't necessarily not have enough either. Don't know what this is going to be. I wanted to do an Oracle Juice live last night, but I didn't. I recently came upon some kind of libation, and I don't know. I want to drink it because I don't want to have it. That makes sense. Like I don't want to just like keep it. I don't think I'll like it, but anyway. I feel like I'm a little rambly today, which is fine. Maybe I'm able to focus more when the live chat is like turned off. Yeah, sure. That's the reason. Anyway, all right. That's what we're gonna do. I just wanted it to be like stated and clear before I start to provide a framework to work with. And that's something that I like doing because I don't necessarily have a set style, format, or spread that I use. So every now and then I like to clarify it up front. And then that way, since I'm looking before and after certain cards, if there's a card that falls out or flips over, we'll set them aside. Because I'm inclined to say if it falls out or flips over, then it's a non-factor for both me and the collective. But it could also be something that's relevant to both me and the collective. But for the sake of sticking, like having a format and delineating the rules of engagement for today, I'm going to say if it flips out, then it's a non-factor for me and the collective. If it flips over but remains within the deck, then it's a factor for both. Am I going to remember this? No, so I'll type it. So fall out equals non-factor. Flip over equals relevant. Oh, relevant. Cool. So if I forget, it's right there. All right. That's a perk of having like the live chat on. I get to remind myself. Is there anything else that I want to say? I really feel like there was something else I wanted to say. And something about, oh, that's what it was. I was thinking about the King of Swords and how the Ace of Cups represents the wisdom. So kind of sort of right now, or at least within the past few weeks, a King of Swords without the Ace of Cups was very knowledgeable but not wise. But the Ace of Cups with the King of Swords matures that knowledge into wisdom. Wisdom has a certain situationality to it, right? It's almost like knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. And I was thinking about the Queen of Cups because we're never necessarily in the major arcana, right? We're the fool in the major arcana, but the rest of the majors are like them. The fool learns from each, but doesn't necessarily become any one of those, but some combination of multiple by the end of its journey. Or maybe it epitomizes one. I don't know. Anyway, but I was thinking of like, well, so I was thinking of the reading where the Queen of Cups came out recently, and she was like susceptible to devil energy because we're human, right? So it's never that we're necessarily not going to have any fears, worries, doubts, insecurities, or whatever. It's never necessarily that we're going to reach some state of perfection. And so there's always something, just like how the King of Swords isn't necessarily always wise, even though he is extremely knowledgeable. The same could be like as intuitive as the Queen of Cups is. Sometimes she can be open or receptive to things that aren't necessarily beneficial. Or that's where like she can confuse her anything for intuition, right? And it was clarified by like the devil that was under the Queen of Cups. And so I was thinking like, well, what is a card that is like the foil to that devil energy? What's the card that takes that Queen of Cups and puts her close to the high priestess, as close as one can humanly be to a high priestess, to the high priestess, not a high priestess, but the major arcana high priestess? And that was the question that I was asking myself earlier that I never got an answer to. And for some reason, I think the vision reminded me of that question. But then as soon as I saw it, I forgot. If we see the Queen of Cups, maybe we'll get an answer. Low hanging fruit, I would say the Two of Swords, because there isn't necessarily movement in the Two of Swords, but there is some kind of analysis, right? So for some reason, again, it's like I need a card that represents like, is this my intuition talking or is this something else? Is this like my desire speaking right now? Like I really, really, really want this. Oh, my intuition is telling me that this is gonna happen when the intuition is like, girl, this ain't it. Or like, is this my anxiety or is this my intuition? Is this my programming? Is this patterns or is it my intuition? And maybe that's what they do for each other, the swords and the cups, right? Because for the king of, maybe it's the ace of swords. It could, but the ace of swords, I don't know. Anyway, okay. So it's been like 16 minutes. I'm gonna timestamp. I didn't even timestamp the other one, but I am gonna timestamp this. Also, if the video goes out, it's because for some reason I gotta use the mobile hotspot from my phone because my laptop doesn't want to connect to the internet, but my phone is connected to the internet. So I'm connecting to the same internet through my phone, broadcasting the signal rather than it just going right from the box. But there was some like IP, whatever. Anyway, let's go. I'll say Ramble 0000, pulling at like it's probably 17:30 now, but I'll say 17 minutes. Oh, it's 16:51. Cool. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna pull before and after the queen first, and again, it's because that big yellow, still pretty full moon that I saw yesterday. And the rules are here. If it falls out, it's a non-factor for both me and the collective. If it flips over, then it's relevant to both me and the collective. Before, I'm going to look from the bottom of the deck. Before is me, after is the collective, and I'll do like before to the left, after on the right. Cool. All right. Let's give it one more and a cut. Oops. And I'm pulling from the bottom. The maiden is at the bottom of the deck. The maiden and the kiss. Ooh, wait. The maiden was one of the final cards that came out last time I used the Wild Unknown Alchemy. It was the maiden, the nectar, and the vow, I think. But when I was shuffling the alchemy at the cut when I first broke the deck, Virgin's Milk was there. So I saw Virgin's Milk and then I saw the nectar of the maiden, but the maiden. And that was interesting. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And that's it. I'm pretty sure it's the queen in this deck. I'm pretty darn sure it's the queen. It's the queen. I guess we'll find out if it's the queen. I'm going for the image, not the title. So but I'm pretty darn sure it's the queen. It's the queen. We're like halfway through the deck. It is the queen. So before is me, and it's the dead end, which is interesting. Here's the queen. That was symbolic of that big yellow moon that I saw yesterday. And then after is the thread. The vessel is here. The vessel was at the bottom of the deck last time. It was the womb, the stone, and the vessel, I believe. The vessel was filling up with that nectar that was next to the maiden. We have the judge before the before. So before the dead end was the judge. After the thread is the vessel. The dead end is interesting because the empty room came out in like a flurry of cards when I got to the self-read portion last time. And for me, the empty room is never empty, just like the dead end isn't a dead end. The dead end for me is kind of like platform 9 3/4, where it looks like it's a dead end, but it actually isn't. The dead end is number 40. And the thread is number 70. So a difference of 30 in between them, which is the hangman. Or it's an empress of the mind. Oh, and then again, here's the queen. She's number 11. Oh, look, there's the flower with the gold in the flower. She's giving like nectar. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to pull before and after the gym because I was at the gym when I saw it. I was outside of the gym. It was like after I was done and I was on my way home. And it was like right over the building. And a cut. Sports event, arena of challenge, test your limits is at the bottom. Okay. Just like the queen, seems like this is going to be closer to the top of the deck than the bottom. And I know that there's a gem in here because I saw here it is. Oh, interesting. So before the gem is the canyon, natural masterpiece, sculpted with patience. And then here's the gem. Gem queen. After the gem is the trail, adventurer's path, self-discovery. Now the trail is interesting. After the after is sunset, before the before is garden. So associated with the canyon is this artfully arranged botanical treasure of the garden. And then the sunset, nature's horizon glow, let the sun rest, is after, associated with the trail. It's interesting because we saw the trail recently, and the amusement park came out with the trail, but it's fine. This isn't necessarily that, right? It ain't necessarily gotta be. But it's interesting that there's like this natural, you could say there's a natural trail with this path that's carved out of the canyon. The trail did come out as desire paths with the desire paths energy, which is why it sort of led to or created an amusement park. And it's interesting because I think that was in the same space as that Queen of Cups energy that was susceptible to devil energy, right? And I was like, sometimes it's our desire speaking and not necessarily our intuition. Sometimes it's what we wish to manifest that's speaking more than like the part of us that is tapped into what is in the process of manifesting or actualizing. The canyon and the dead end. So the obvious solution to the canyon and the dead end, because again, just like how the empty room is never empty, to me the dead end is never dead end. But that gives a fool energy, right? Like the fool would leap from one side of the canyon to the other, or would just leap off the cliff on one side and get down into the water. People in like movies and TV shows and stuff survive. In real life, I don't know, because if you hit that water with enough velocity, Yeah. Eva! Oh my gosh. Hi, how are you? I still haven't looked into that thing that you told me about yet because I wasn't on my laptop. But now that I'm on my laptop after this, I'm going to look into it and then I'll let you know. I'm doing well. I don't know. Like, I came home, I saw my family. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go back. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't quite ready to leave. I didn't think I would find as much as I found until I found it. And then I was like, whoa. And it's interesting because I've been in a similar position before of finding things. Honestly, I don't want to say finding things that I wouldn't have the courage to ask for, but I had reached a place of acceptance of like, if I don't find this, it's not the end of the world. I'll be fine. And then I found it and I was like, oh, wow. I don't know how to feel about this. But I think before it was kind of like where I was and not necessarily like where I am going. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't expect out of that trip, but I don't know. I'll keep you updated. We'll see. There are cogs spinning, but I'm well. How are you? How are you? I am just like, not. I don't know. I'm trying to savor the moment. So yeah. I am too. I am extremely curious. Okay, so there's a full energy over here, and then the thread and the trail. Both of them start with the letter T. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. That's the connection. Just swamped. Oof. Is it? No, it's like the middle of the month. Is it like an end of the year thing, or is it just like work being crazy? I feel like for a lot of the people, not a lot of, for people that I know lately. Okay, it is end of year. And here I am, just like unemployed to connect with yourself and ground and prevent or limit any kind of like stress or overwhelm or anything. Hopefully, you find moments to breathe, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Whew, okay, so next is the alchemy, the dead end, and the kin. There's also like some very like energy with the canyon and the dead end. There's nothing beyond this point. You don't need to go there. I just like it's fine. I don't. It just was so much more than I expected, and I don't necessarily know. I don't know why now. Like I do, but I don't. But I do. Thanks for stopping by. You too. I will catch you later, and I'll let you know. Like I said, I'll look into it. I'm curious. I feel like it'll either be like something like really like, oh my gosh, or it'll be like nothing. Somehow it'll be nothing. Okay. And a cut. Nothing has flipped over or fallen out so far. All right. Bottom of the deck is the wise salt. Would it be Earth? No. And then Hyros Gamos is under wise salt. Hyros Gamos is the mirror to the dead end. It's 60. The dead end is 40. So I'm looking for both 70 and 40. I guess either side could have been. I think there's more. archetypes, then there is alchemy. So I'm looking for XL and LXX. Making random noises as I go through the cards. Making random noises as I go through the cards. And trying to avoid any kind of like anything that's like copyrighted. Because what is that? It's KK Bubblegum? Is that Bubblegum KK? It might be. One second. Well, I won't play the full. I'll play like a second because I should be able to recognize it. Yeah. For some reason, Bubblegum KK, like that was the sort of melody that came into my mind. There's one, I remember there was a song that was like stuck in my head, and I was like, what is this song? And it was like a KK Slider song from Animal Crossing. I was like, oh my gosh. Bubblegum KK, my brain is just braining. The brain is braining. So what happens if I don't find one of these? That is an excellent question. I have the book. So if all else fails, then I can check if for some reason I don't catch it as I'm going through the cards. Oh, yep, we have it because Queen12 is 71. So there is a 70. I was like, I think there's like 72. L O L O L O L O L O L L O L O L O L. Guess what number 40 is? It's Virgin's Milk. And I was literally just talking about seeing this card at the cut. I feel like it fits though with this dead end not being a dead end. Because again, for me, the empty room is never empty. The dead end is never a dead end. Because if you're looking for milk and you go to the virgin, you would think that you hit a dead end. Because why would a virgin be like lactating? But here's virgin's milk. She is, I don't know. She knew you'd be thirsty. I don't know. So the card before is number 13, which is lightening, leucosis. So that's the Patrick alchemy. And then we have Virgin's Milk. Let's see if I can't. And then after is resin. So the part that faces the collective is resin. And resin is number 38. XXXVIII. Cool. Now I'm just trying to like arrange this in a way. So this is just the significator. Excuse me, there we go. So it may be separatio. I think, I can't remember if separatio comes before or after conjunctio. It is separatio, separation. So there's the trail. Oops, sorry. The thread. Oh, this is fraying. The thread and separation. Oof. Is that collective split that's happening? What's interesting is, so on the side that faces me, because it's before the before, it's the androgen Ravis, number 62, which we've seen recently. It's also interesting because I was thinking of that. So we have these two rainbows up here, but in the thread, there's only one, and it's like at the top. Oh, look, and then there's the spider's web, spider thread, spider silk with the thread here. So she's like low hanging fruit. She's obviously that, like, the split between the 3D and the 5D, whatever that's happening, or, After is glass, speculum. Glass used to come out like all the time, number 30. So the side that faces the collective alchemy is glass. And I'm looking through the glass where the light bends at the cracks. I think that's silhouettes. So before the before is sulfur, number 29. So on the side of the androgen, after the after is Jupiter, number 6, which is on the side of the glass. That's such an interesting energy. Because it's almost like with this glass, it's twofold. There's like a telescopic energy with like glass and mirrors and how you can amplify things. I guess that's more so mirrors than glass. But it's like the whatever you get from the clarity of the glass, like the glass is expanding. So you see more of the image more clearly. Cool. There's a part of that song, Silhouettes. I wanted to walk through the empty streets and feel something constant under my feet. But all the news reports recommended that I stay indoors. Which is interesting because it almost plays in the it's that energy again where just because we are inside doesn't mean that we're disconnected from all that is and that we're disconnected from nature. It can, if that's what we believe, but it doesn't necessarily have to, because like we're still on the same planet. You know what I mean? Anyway, cool. Resin and the androgen between us, lightening, which I feel like that has been a lot of my 2024, especially the later half. I think earlier there was some intensity, but then it's gotten like lighter and lighter and lighter. Cool. So I said the animals are going to be between us. So I'm going to shuffle this. I'm going to have to cycle through these cards because there aren't 62 animals. There just like aren't. Um, but I'm pulling the 38th and the 62nd animal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 61, 62. There are 62. Interesting. Both creatures of the water. Bottom of the deck is the vulture. And then I'm going to pull the 13th and 30th in the tarot. 4 of cups, 6 of cups. Altogether, it's 10 cups. And then the Empress with that 6 of cups. Ooh, look at that. This is, it gives me an energy that's similar to like how you get blue roses, like colored roses. So if you cut the stem of the rose and you put it in water that has some kind of dye in it, as the rose like pulls in that water, the petals get colored. So it's like it's pulling in the color from the roots, and then you're like seeing it on the edges of this tree. But one second. Okay. And then we'll cut it right there. And again, apparently. And I'm pulling face down from the top for these since I know the number that I'm going for. So 13 and 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Bottom of the deck is Judgment. And then we have the 10 of Cups at the top. That's the 4 plus 6. So one of these cups has to go to the other side, right? Because here we see 5 and 5. So the 6 of Cups has to sacrifice a cup. The 4 of Cups has to gain one. It's interesting because in most depictions of the 4 of Cups, there's the 4th cup that's being presented that whoever doesn't see. And it's like, well, who wants to be at the 5 of Cups? you know? But 2 5s make 10. Just like a 4 and a 6 make a 10, but there's something, and I saw the 4 of Pentacles when I broke the deck earlier. I don't remember what other card was at the cut, but I remember seeing the 4 of Pentacles. Judgment. It's like a judgment call that has to be made on like almost like Red Rover on which cup is going to which of the 6 is going to go. And then also it's a judgment on the 4 of Cups again to receive to make it 5 and 5. I just think it was neat that the 10 of Cups was there when I was like 4 plus 6 is 10, but also Virgin's Milk is here, and I talked about seeing it. And then the Maiden was at the bottom of the deck, so cool. I have all the cards on the table, on la table, on el mesa, la mesa, la mesa, on the table. I don't know how to say table in any other language. I mean, it's like table, but table is just like table. Is there like an actual word for table outside of table? Table. What's Rabel? Is that a word? A company that develops solar panel systems. A verb that means to scribble, and a word that means a disorderly crowd. I didn't know that. To make meaningless drawings and scribbles, usually while thinking, talking on the phone, etc., like doodling, is a verb. A company that does solar panels. It's funny because the sun is here. So I was trying to type table, but I put an R instead of a T. That's why I'm like looking it up. Table Japanese. A chabudai. A short leg table used in traditional Japanese homes. How do you say table in Japanese? Table. Yeah. Kotatsu. That's a low wooden table frame covered by a futon. Yeah. That's what I was like. But the kotatsu has like a cloth over. Anyway, it's fine. Let me try to focus. You think I had like ADHD or something? I tried. I don't know. I feel like every now and then I mention this. Like I tried to get an ADHD diagnosis. They gave me depression instead. That was years ago. But yeah, I was like, I think I have ADHD. And I went to get diagnosed and everything. She was like, nope, turns out you're depressed. I was like, oh, well, I mean, that I knew. Come on. And then that's what started the whole uh, me, like, yeah, looking at my mental health thing. That was like 2017 over the summer. Anyway, so all the cards are on the table. How do I say all? Todas las cartas sobre la mesa. I feel like there's like ids or r. Cartas. Is that? Todas las cartas son. No. Let's see. It is what it is. Not. Why is it's just like in my head? Maybe. Todas las cartas son sobre la mesa. All the cards are on the table. Yeah, so it was some. I was trying to like decline it in my brain, but it didn't get past like son. It was just like son. I was like, okay, but like, you know, Estar, Ser. All the cards are on the table. Todas las cartas son sobre la mesa. Let's go. That's Duolingo. I'm just all right. I'm done. I'm done. Cool. Okay, so how do I want to do this? So again, let me timestamp. 50 minutes. Oh my gosh. We're gonna say cards out at 49:15. Well, 49:14. Just like I typed R instead of T, I put a 4 instead of a 5. So all the cards are out. I went to the gym yesterday. I saw a big yellow moon over the gym when I was going home. So I was like, oh, big yellow moon. She's the queen and the wild unknown archetypes. There you see, big yellow moon. And I was at the gym. So, I got the Places Oracle now, the gym. I pulled before and after both of these cards. Before, for some reason today, I wanted to do me and the collective. So before the significator is me, after the significator is the collective. And I do like before to the left, after to the right. So then I did the same for the places. I use the number of the archetype to find the corresponding significator in the well-known alchemy. So so like on my side, before the before is like Patrick alchemy. After the before is um, anyway, for the significator that was mine. Before the Patrick significator was Patrick alchemy. After the Patrick significator was facing the collective alchemy. And then I did the same for the collective. So before the collective was Patrick facing alchemy. After the collective is collective facing alchemy. And it's because like I was before the collective was after. So before the before is like on the extreme before, after the after is the extreme after, and then in between is in between. I used those cards to then further clarify the number. So for the cards in between, I chose the numbers from the well-known animal spirits. So for example, I had number 38 resin as the Patrick alchemy that faces the collective, so I pulled the 38th animal. Um, it was the androgen number 62, so I pulled the 62nd animal for the collective. And then I chose the before, after the extremes, and I pulled that number from the well-known tarot. So that's a little rundown if you skipped ahead, I guess. I don't know. I'm rambly today. I'm rambly most days, honestly. Like, but now that I have all the cards, I don't necessarily like know what to do with them. So we could start in between. Where do we start? I know what we're gonna do. I wish I had a D4. Where is? Oh, where did I put it? Where did I put it? Oh, that's fine. It would take too long to spin. I have a D4. I'm gonna roll a D4, and I'm going to look at each of these paths, and I'm gonna follow it up. So that's when you'll see. And I'm gonna keep timestamping this. I have at least like I think an hour and a half. No, the call is at 12. Yeah, so I have about an hour and a half at least until it'll be time to go to the gym. That's why I like muted the mic and I stuck my head out the door. I heard my number one fan. I was like, "What time are we going to the gym today?" So I am gonna timestamp this basically. If I remember. The intention. Intention is a strong word. If I remember, I will continue to timestamp. I'm like digging through this bag. Here it is, trying to find the D4. A D4 is a four-sided dice. A four-sided die. The D stands for die. The number stands for the number of sides on the die. So a D6 is your standard six-sided die. A D20 is a 20-sided die. A D10 is a 10-sided die. Why am I explaining this? If you were curious, now you know. This is... Okay. This is interesting. It's interesting. I feel like the clearest link between the pairs of cards are between like personal alchemy and collective alchemy, like just thematically. And then in between, there's not necessarily the same like direct connection correlation like there is. So the first one is the fourth one. Number 4. 4 is the collective. I didn't grab a time. We'll say true collective. We'll just do collective. We'll do true collective. And it's like 50 something. 55, 15. Wow, it took me like 6 minutes. Cool. Alrighty. If I could like stop checking my phone. Like I said, I just don't want to miss nothing. I ain't even really got to hang out with my grandma yet. I think maybe we'll do breakfast someday. Anyway, all right. So this is one of the ones, the fourth path, and it's just from left to right. So, you know, there's Patrick, Patrick facing collective, collective facing Patrick, collective, collective. And we're starting at the bottom and we're going up. So, well, I'll just do both. The alchemy that came out is the alchemy of glass, like I said, and it's number 30. The 30th tarot card is the Eight of Cups. And at first, I wasn't really thinking about it, but on this Eight of Cups, there are broken glasses. That's why I was like, because I just like realized it. So like you can see like glass and broken glass. It's visually there's a theme that like carries over. As far as like what this means, we'll see. So, and then we do have separation. So we start with the Eight of Cups, and then it goes up to glass. It's also interesting. This is 30 and 8. And the Patrick facing the collective alchemy was number 38. And then like here we have 30 and 8, which is, you know, it's interesting. XXXVIII, XXXVIII. Cool. So we start with the Eight of Cups, broken glass. We go up to glass. From glass, we go to separation because the thread came out after the Queen. 70-70. The place was the trail, which is adventures, path, self-discovery. So that's all the cards, right? Now, what's interesting is we see the trees of the trail in glass, but we don't see the mountain. Like it feels like in here, I was going to say it feels like there's supposed to be a mountain, but this could be the opposite. So it's like if you don't look through the looking glass, you would see this mountain with all of these broken cups. But with the clarity of glass, you can tell that the mountain is an illusion. Mountains symbolize challenges. I mean, I feel like it was at the top of the deck, maybe. Let me see if I can't find. Oh, it's literally right here. The mountain is in between the park and the post office. Messages to arrive, mail services, and communal leisure, breath of fresh air. Breath of fresh air and messages to arrive is this sort of mountain. The mountain is nature's monument enduring challenges. There's almost this energy here with messages to arrive and communal leisure. I don't know if this is a collective. I could see it. It's almost an energy of a collective realization or recognition that no one is coming to save us. Right. Like in the space of the mountain and during those challenges, it's like awaiting a message with the post office. And it's sometimes it's like hope itself, like having hope sometimes itself can be enough to make certain challenges just a little bit more bearable. And I feel like that's just like if I differentiate between collective energy and collective experiences, then the collective energy would be no one is coming to save us, no one is coming to save you, no one is coming to save me. And then there's the experience of so it's up to me to like do something, or it's up to us to do something as like one experience as a reaction to that energy, or on the other side, it's a dip into a lake of despair with no bottom, of like, you know, kind of hopelessness, like no one is coming, as like a different experience, a different reaction to that collective energy. Let's read the alchemy of the glass. And then the thread is here, right? So this could be like someone hanging on by a thread. Maybe that hope was the last thread that someone was hanging on to, or maybe not the loss of that hope, on the side of the experience that tends towards more of a kind of despair. Then I could see that hope being this last thread that someone was sort of like, "Ooh, this is dark." um, I feel like it's been so weird lately how if I just like sit down, it's almost kind of sort of like if I don't do a self read, then it's kind of dark, the energies, and they've been heavy. But I personally haven't been in a dark and heavy place. But it's like more so now, I feel like lately. But also, you know, like I was on vacation. So anyway, I mean, even before I went, well, it's, it's fine. Um, while I was on vacation, for sure. It's not that I was like in a dark and heavy place before I went on vacation. I was in a heady place before I went on vacation in terms of like, what am I going to do next? Because I know that where I am is not it for me. And, you know, so on the side of despair, like that hope was this last thread that is potentially frayed at the realization that like no one is coming to help. But on the other side, it's almost like on the side of like that tends towards self and collective empowerment. Like no one is going to come save us, so we have to rise to the occasion and save ourselves. It's almost like there's this interweaving of, I mean, and again, like this is under the trail, which recently came out with an energy of desire paths, right? There are trails that are formed naturally by the movement of people, animals, whoever through an area. And those desire paths can often be seen as shortcuts. Now, we saw last time how those shortcuts kind of sort of lead to the amusement park, how they're not, anyway. But it's almost like there's a collective desire path that is being collectively there is a desire path that's being like collectively walked, and it's almost like with the thread, all of these desires, all of these hopes, all of this empowerment is like weaving together to create this thread to bridge a sort of gap. So it's like building the thread rather than the frayed thread on the side of despair. Maybe it would be more accurate. It goes from like a thread to a rope. The more that's like woven into it, the stronger it gets, right? And then it becomes like a kind of rope, a kind of rope. There was another song that just popped into my mind. I feel like it's a song that I've heard in passing that I've never like actually heard. I think it's from Wicked. Maybe it's from some kind of musical. It's like if you change your mind. If you change your mind, then I'm the first in line. If you change your mind, I'm the first in line. It's a song by ABBA. Take a chance on me. Honey, I'm still free. Take a chance on me. But I haven't heard the ABBA version. It's like I heard someone say it. Maybe it was like on a TV show or something. And again, like this separatio separation, the low hanging fruit of it was like there's this split between the 3D and the 5D. But now it's like there's this split between a hopeful, self empowered collective and a collective that falls into a despair. And because the collective that falls into a despair falls into that despair, it puts them on a certain timeline. And because the collective of like, oh, if no one else is going to do this, then we're going to do this, because they fall into the self empowerment, it's almost like it creates a different outcome. They together create a different outcome. And what's interesting is, again, if we scan the environment through the looking glass, we realize that the mountain isn't actually there. The mountain was an illusion. Now, the broken glasses could be real, but the mountain isn't. They don't necessarily have to be, but they can be. So let's read the Alchemy of Glass. Do we need to? Maybe not, but we're gonna do it because, I mean, honestly, when I pulled out the cards, I was like, today feels like a no book kind of day. But then I was like, what if I get an alchemy that I don't know? And I was like, well, just go with it because it's a no book kind of day. I don't really feel like I need the book for this, but I'm gonna read it anyway. Speculum Glass. This is transparency, focus, and seeing. Glass transmits a sacred exchange between the alchemist and their work. Through the glass vessel, in the vessel alchemy, the vessel archetype we did see. Through the glass vessel, the alchemist sees their work, and the work sees the alchemist. What was once clouded in confusion becomes focused. What was once veiled becomes obvious. How are you currently seeing the world? What is your perspective? The glass card can be thought of as the gift of true perception. With it, you naturally focus on what is most central in your life. All else falls into the periphery. The next right action becomes clear. Glass is fragile by nature and requires regular cleaning, so find daily practices that align your vision, and vision was the first card that came out. Daily practices that align your vision to what is true. It's easy to slip into an old mode of seeing, particularly someone else's. So hold steady to your new alchemical lenses. Their power is mighty. To ponder the sand becoming glass. So to ponder glass, you blast it with like fire and other stuff, and then you get glass. There's also so sand becoming glass gives me a similar energy to the thread becoming a rope, because it's like as the particles heat up, they you go from like individual pellets, I don't know, what do you call it? Particles of sand, grains, grains of sand. You go from individual grains of sand to this like structured crystalline lattice of glass, right? Where there are bonds that are formed. And again, it speaks to the alignment to that vision. And then, however fragile it may be, once the glass is formed, it's capable of holding its shape. Like the vessel takes on a new form. Interesting. So yeah, if there is a 5D, if there is a new whatever, it's because it's created. It's not necessarily because it's given. Is the kind of energy that's here. Cool. I feel like we can just leave that there, right? So that's like collective. That's purely collective. It ain't got nothing to do with Patrick. And Patrick is a part of the collective, but not necessarily representative of the collective, and vice versa. Maybe because this is purely collective. Because if this was the side of the collective that faces me, then again, like this would be something that I'm also going through in my personal life. And I'm not saying that I'm not, but because it came on the extreme of the collective, it's like it's something that we all individually do. And the rope is all the stronger for it, because now that's a rope. It feels like under the mass illusion, and I'm just going to say mass illusion because of how the cards came out. If you look through the glass, there is no mountain. And you can even see in this same like grayscale, monochromatic, black, white, that's the colors on this card. But in full color, there is no mountain there. And I feel like when there was a mountain there, again, it was like when it was easy to hope that something is going to transpire, or someone, maybe this hasn't happened yet. Maybe it's happening. Like, oh, something is going to happen and we're all going to be saved. You know? Um, ouch. It's like, again, like that kind of thinking doesn't necessarily empower people to take charge in their own lives and make those changes, both within themselves and in the world around them. Right? It's almost like it's not herd mentality, but it's like that phenomenon where, like, let's say that there is something terrible that is happening in a public place, and there are many, many, many people gathered there, and they just kind of sort of like watch it happen, because so many people think, well, someone else is going to do something, someone else is going to say something, someone else is going to step up and like remedy or rectify the situation or stop things from getting worse, but no one does because everyone else thinks that someone else is going to do it. It's almost like that. But when you realize that no one else is doing anything or no one else is going to do something, there are some who use that as an opportunity to like do the thing or to say something, right? Now, when that happens, for all of those that don't do anything, there is that not a satisfaction, but there's that feeling of like, okay, like somebody else did something just like I knew they would. Like everything is cool, everything is made right. And for some things, that's not necessary, depending on the size, the scale, and the nature of whatever is happening. We don't necessarily want to be in the mode of thinking like someone else is going to do something, someone else is going to say something, someone else is going to come in and save the day. And it's interesting that this energy is kind of here because there has been that energy of like someone in the collective that's being noticed by somebody, like your presence, your work, your ethics, your whatever work ethic, your personal whatever what you stand for, like is being noticed by someone. Bystander effect. Thank you, Holly. Hey, Holly, how you doing? Um, and it was that energy of like not shrinking after you're noticed because you're noticed for a reason. But again, it's like there is so much externalization and like I'm not trying to come for anybody. Right, what's right for you just because it's not right for me doesn't mean that it's not right for you. But kind of sort of related to that amusement park on the amusement park that is sort of like built along the side of this trail, these desire paths. When we're constantly externalizing like our power, like this transit is going to happen and it's going to make it really easy to do this, or this person is with their astrological chart makes them ideal for whatever. It's like if it's a person or an energy or whatever, again, it almost sort of keeps us locked into that bystander, like there's going to be a time where it's like perfect or ideal. And even though we know that there's never going to be a perfect time or a right time, we still kind of operate as if there will be. And again, it doesn't necessarily do anything to sort of like change the situation. Um, yeah. And it's still Sagittarius season. So, uh, yeah. I mean, and I'm on a more US friendly time too. So both the live chat and the timer. Right. Um, and again, it's like it depends on, it's almost like it honestly depends on the world that we're trying to create. Because it feels like to take approach similar to take an approach of like wait until the right time, wait until the right transit, wait until this year where the astrology is going to be this or the energy is going to be that, wait until the external circumstances align in a way to make it favorable to do whatever. It's almost like we run the risk of creating the world that we currently live in, and how easy it is to slip back into that waiting for someone else to do something, waiting for someone else to say something, waiting for someone to come and save us. And that isn't necessarily the energy of the age of Aquarius that I've heard people talk about, the one that's been like manifesting. And I think there's another side of that too that manufactures, it's like it manufactures challenge or it manufactures bad guys or adversity, adversaries. It's almost like we can create our own phantoms to do battle with and engage with. Anyway. Anyway. Welcome to It Is What It Is, Tara. Where it is what it is, and it ain't gonna be what it ain't gonna be. So what it ain't gonna be is noise canceling. Sorry. Anyway, okay. Yeah. And I feel like there's a personal viewpoint and vantage point, so it may be completely inaccurate. Patrick don't know no more than anybody else, okay? But it's like, again, like the age of Aquarius that we have manifested, are manifesting, are the energy that we're claiming, like this is what the age of Aquarius is going to be like. It almost feels like there is a desire from the divine, or there is a new cycle in creation that is more people led, right? And it's not that we necessarily act in our ego outside of whatever, but again, like where we are empowered to create the world that we live in, rather than relying on something or someone else, be it physical or energetic or whatever, to sort of create it and to do it for us, which is why we inherit the will of the creator. Why is kind of a strong word. It's something that we can do with the will of the creator that we inherit. So yeah, cool. I think that's it. The number 3 is here, but I mean, I guess I could go from right to left, which is interesting because everything else has been like from left to right. If 3 comes out, I'll go from right to left. If it doesn't, then I'll just keep rolling. And the number is 2. So we're not going to do that. And we're looking at 122.40. 122.40. And we go here. This is Patrick. This is collective facing. So collective facing means that it's Patrick Alchemy that faces a collective. Patrick facing means that it's collective alchemy that's Patrick facing, and then true collective is on the collective side. True Patrick is on the, maybe I'll say self. See, I don't want to say self because then maybe I will say self. I mean, I could say self because like I'm reading it and typing it and, inserting myself into this. But I feel like if I say like self facing or true self, then like I'm not speaking for nobody else. But maybe are going to be some things that kind of sort of like resonate. I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. I'm going to say Patrick. If you want to interpret it as self because it resonates for you, then that's cool. If you don't, then this is where I am, I guess. I don't know. So we get the octopus. The octopus, I think, was actually the final card the last time I looked at this. So collective facing. The animal is the octopus. The alchemy is of resin. The archetype is the dead end. And the place is the canyon. Also, we have virgin's milk. That was the alchemical significator of the dead end, which is interesting, right? Because you wouldn't think that you'd be able, because a virgin doesn't have a biological need to lactate because there is no offspring for her to feed, sustain. Her body is like, okay, well, like, why would we do that? What are we lactating for? But that's the alchemy here. And I was like, oh, it's interesting because, like with virgins, that's why it was like the dead end, because you wouldn't think that you'd get milk from a virgin, but yet here is the alchemy of virgin's milk. Cool. So, octopus is such an interesting energy. I'm just like rearranging the cards. It's such an interesting energy. For me, the octopi are like very like smart. They have the ability to camouflage. They're super flexible, almost like a cat. I think whatever they can fit their beak into, because I think they have beaks, their whole body can fit into. Like they kind of like a cat. Anything that a cat can get its like head under or into, the whole body is going to go through. Um, Now, resin is interesting because resin gives an energy that's almost like a relic. It's something that's been preserved over a long time. And I don't know how old octopi are in terms of like, when they came onto the scene. How old are octopi? I want to say octopuses, but I know it's not octopuses. But for some reason, octopi is just, it's not feeling pretentious. It's just like it's too, it feels like wordy in the mouth, even though it has less letters than octopuses and less syllables. Um yeah, it's just like, oh, octopi. Ba-ba-ba-boo. Okay. Okay, so the answer might so the question is, are octopus older than dinosaurs? The answer might surprise you. Scientists in Montana recently found a fossil of an early ancestor of modern octopuses. See, it says octopuses. It lived about 330 million years ago, before the age of the dinosaurs. So an early ancestor lived before the age of dinosaurs. Here we go. How long have they existed? 328 million years. The oldest ancestor of modern octopuses lived 328 million years ago and had 10 arms, according to a new study. Researchers have named the previously unknown species a scientific name. They recently named it some scientific name. I was not expecting that. That's a good question. All right. Maybe I wonder if there is a correlation between the intelligence of a species and its early ancestor, right? Because it's like, well, they've had 328 million years to evolve. You would hope. You would hope that in 328 million years there'd be some kind of like intelligence, you know? Anyway. And I'm not gonna like look up dolphins because or whales because I know that they're also like smart. Okay, so let's see. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure what these in betweens are about, but I'll read the Alchemy of Resin. Let's start with that. 38. See, these two in the middle, they're not as clear as the ones on the outside with the link between the animal and the alchemy, or the tarot and the alchemy. Well, maybe that's the thing. There's a closer link between the tarot and alchemy than animals and alchemy, because it's the ones on the outside, the ones I use tarot for. There's a very clear visual connection to the alchemy. Um, and then the animals are just like, maybe it's because animals. I'm like, wait, what this animal do? So resin, holding, adhering, surrounding. Ooh, just got like a little hair on my tongue. So resin is a miraculous material. That's another one. It's like a, oh, there we go, a hair. Resin is a miraculous material. It offers both stability and transparency. Glass has a transparency. Well, this is the self or the collective facing alchemy. I was thinking about amber in the shower because I got this amber scented shower gel, and I was thinking of amber as like kind of a resin, right? Anyway, it offers both stability and transparency. For centuries, sculptors and archivists have used it to capture an object in time and place, preserving it for observation or adoration. Envision a delicate insect or flower suspended in a paperweight. Such is the alchemical energy of resin. Its qualities are protective, sealing, and hardening. When this card appears, there is a holding that's occurring, either literally or psychically. While well intended, someone may be limiting the one they wish to protect. There may be an aspect of nostalgia at work in the laboratory, an unwillingness to let go or change. On the other hand, the resin card can indicate preservation of that which is most valued, a return to what's been lost. This is interesting. Let's see. The original forms of resin came from the boughs of the pine tree and the bee. Let your mind wander the metaphors of pine pitch and propolis to ponder the bond. With its sap-like stickiness, the resin card affects the whole reading. It indicates the cards that appear are bonded together, and likely you're witnessing an old pairing or pattern. And octopuses are like millions of years old. 328 according to one source, 330 according to the other one. Old, regardless, before the dinosaurs. So the stickiness here is in this line of like with the octopus. Oh, and the octopus has like the suckers. Those are like sticky, right? Crawl, I guess. I don't know, crawl. There's a stickiness between the dead end. I think, especially, well, I was gonna say earlier in the year. Every now and then, it'll be that energy. I feel like so personally because again, I would say I know me, but like, does anybody know anybody? um, I feel like I kind of sort of go through these cycles of like being hopeful for humanity or the collective that, you know, we're going to do the right thing this time. And then sometimes we do. But when we don't, it's that like, it's a question, I guess, of if we're always going to be who we have always been or if we're ever going to change. Right. And like I've said before, like I don't necessarily position myself to be of service on a super like large, oh gosh, in a super large way, because I don't believe that I owe anybody anything who doesn't owe me anything. But further than that, I don't believe that I owe anyone anything who actively like works against me or who doesn't care about me. Like, why would I invest time, energy, or effort in a space where there is no reciprocation of like consideration or compassion? and maybe it's old and sticky. And I feel like part of the personal alchemy that is like that has been lightening for me this year has been that, like, almost just like not letting the world be the world, but kind of sort of, I guess. Because for me, it's like I know that I'm going to be fine. I know that I'm good. I have no concerns or worries or fears about like my personal abundance, health, happiness, whatever. A lot of my care and consideration goes to like the world at large or other people, right? Because like I know I'm going to be good. And I'm not necessarily wired to not consider the environment that I live in, you know? I know like there are some people who are like, well, as long as I'm okay, as long as I'm fine, as long as I know that, I'm safe and secure or whatever, then who cares about? And maybe that's like because I'm not that person, maybe it's a bit of an exaggeration of someone else. Whereas, like, who cares about my neighbor or the city or the world? Like, I'm good. And, that's all that matters. Looking out for number one. And if you ain't number one, then you might as well be number 1 billion, right? Because if you're not winning, then you're losing or whatever, anyway. Like I said, it's probably a little dramatic. But that's not like the kind of person that I am. But also at the same time, other people have their own lives. And what is transpiring in the world is going to transpire in the world. And so it is to kind of sort of, and I feel like especially within the last quarter maybe of 2024, where the second quarter of 2024 was like more so like almost like worldly focused, this last quarter has been more like personal. And it's like it's not my job, it's not my responsibility to care for anybody but me. I don't have any dependents. I don't have any children. I have friends and family, but still, with friends and family, it's not my job to live their lives for them or make their choices and decisions. It's my job as a friend or a family member to be there and to support them in the things that they're doing, not to take charge of whatever. And so maybe that dead end or that canyon, like that's a true dead end. Because again, this goes up to the dead end in the canyon. There's like this canyon of personal responsibility. Like there's what I am responsible for, me, my life, and then there's like the rest of the world, the collective, whatever. And again, it's not that they're necessarily like they're not in different environments. They're in the same place, but there's no connection between them besides the place that they happen to be in, the place that they happen to share. So I kind of want to read the octopus. I kind of want to read. Maybe not. I feel like that's all there is to say on it. I was talking to somebody recently, and they said basically echoed that the sentiment that when we are all at peace, then the world will be at peace, right? And so again, in this, it's almost like there was this attachment that I had to the collective, to the world, to the hope that we as a collective humanity would do better and choose better and all this other stuff. But again, there's this realization that if we don't collectively, doesn't mean that I won't personally. And again, like, I'm not responsible for anything or anybody else. So it's just like this letting go. I mean, it kind of, yeah, yeah. There have been different things that have transpired that have motivated this letting go process. And the octopus does have like 8 arms. Not saying that all 8 were necessarily attached, but there were a few different things that motivated that, and a few different, and like in different ways, like from different emotional standpoints, from different things that have transpired and stuff like that. Like, it wasn't necessarily all one thing. um, but yeah, cool. Because again, on the collective, with that glass, like, no one is coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. um, it's like that sort of recognition holds true. Like, it's not up to me to save anyone else, because we all have to save ourselves. You know. And again, that doesn't mean that I don't care, or that I have to be disinterested or whatever, but it's just like where I am. I'm not, I feel like I would be hard pressed. There have been several times in my life within the past few years where it's like, with all of the power and strength of my faith, this will not happen. That will not happen. I do not energetically or otherwise consent to or condone a reality in which there is like global starvation because of whatever is happening, or whatever somebody said. I don't care if it's a vision that somebody received from spirit or not. Like, I didn't get that vision. That's not my vision. If that's your reality, maybe that's going to be your experience, but it's not going to be mine. Um, and like different things. And of course, there is a spectrum, I guess. But again, like, it's not like there was someone in pain, right? And I was like, I wish like they didn't have to feel this pain. But sometimes pain is the thing that alerts us to something being wrong. And if we didn't feel the pain, we would never know that anything was wrong. And then things ultimately would be worse, because then people would just start like, or things would just start like falling for seemingly no reason with apparently no warning. Like, sometimes pain is the warning, like, hey, something is going on and it needs to be fixed. It needs to be healed. It needs to be addressed, or else it's just going to get worse. And again, as we are entering the age of Aquarius, or have entered the age of Aquarius, it's not up to any one person or any one people to make the world right or better. It's up to all of us. So, in my own personal life, that uh, autonomy and sovereignty, and that's so like in terms of like what Patrick is going to whatever, that hasn't changed. But the environment outside of me, like, it is what it is, you know. Because ultimately, like, who does it serve? Cool. Is there anything else to say here? I don't think so. Cool. So we have 2 numbers left. I'm starting to get like hungry. Hungry. Oh, that was not number 1. And so the third one is going to be last. I didn't look at True Patrick. Again, I'm not going to say self because of all the reasons that I literally just said. I'm going to do 145. 145 00. So yeah, I have withdrawn myself and my energy, and I'm just focusing on me. Every now and then I get that, like, just focus on you. Like, it's not your job. Oh, I wish that there were more, I guess, people in places of more people of influence, more people with platforms, who more people in charge, more people in whatever. I don't know. It is what it is. So, on the extreme, again, like the tarot with the alchemy, I'm like, there's a clear and obvious connection. The tarot that came out for True Patrick was the sun. And again, Lucosis lightening was the alchemy. The sun lightens things, it makes it brighter, it brings things to light. I was like, oh my gosh, like, duh. Like, that's like such low hanging fruit. You know what I mean? Not low hanging, but like you can see the connection. Oh, things are getting lighter. Yeah, the sun came out. And I guess as I have been focusing more on self and have just what feels like abandoned the collective, honestly. I mean, that's what it feels like, but maybe that's probably because I was overly attached or involved or whatever before. It's like this again, this past little bit has been, it's been like really, really, really good. And it's kind of, it's a little wild. The things that I like, the things that I guess came to light have been just so like personally resonant to my heart's desires. But I'm like, wow. Um and it's like I said, I feel like I've been living in a bubble. And it's not one that's necessarily susceptible to being popped. You know what I mean? And I guess the interesting thing is that it hasn't necessarily been, and I don't know if it's because I extended my trip. And again, I'm was staying with a friend who like still worked. Like I was on vacation. I was the only one on vacation. Um, and so there was still like a habit and routine of like going to work Monday to Friday and like stuff like that. But it was almost like so mundane. It's almost like it's because it wasn't a vacation where every day was like a new sight or a new sound or a new experience, or like I didn't pack the trip because I almost just like lived in a different environment. It was like, this is what my life, because I've just been like living. And it was so mundane, but so like glorious at the same time. Um, so extraordinary. And that's why I feel like if I talk about it, or if someone's like, oh, like, what did you do? I'm like, I mean, honestly, did some cooking, did some laundry, did some cleaning, went into the office a few days. I took a Coursera course. I did some learning. There wasn't anything like super vacationy or different. But again, I like, because it was so mundane, I feel like that's why it was like so impactful. And why it also, a lot of the stuff is also like sustainable, if that makes sense. Like there are things that I could change in my day to day that's like cool or whatever. Anyway, so yes, the sun and lightning. This is number 13. Lightening, perfectionism, facade, and hesitation. Interesting. So it's not just about things getting lighter. That's why sometimes, honestly, sometimes the books can be like helpful, but sometimes the energy is like different. I mean, that's true regardless, right? Even without books, like sometimes because some cards could be so like multifaceted or the energies can be so big, it can play on different aspects of it. And sometimes it's more one aspect than another. Some of these have just been like finger greasy. That's why I was wiping the card. Lightning. The stage of leucosis is a complex topic in alchemy. On the one hand, it represents purification of the materials. On the other hand, it's the phase in which the alchemist may mistake the work as complete. On the surface, everything seems perfect, pristine, well thought through, and quite complete. In actuality, the alchemist has been tricked by their own facade of perfection. Their work has hardly begun. Righteousness and fear are the great errors of leucosis. This card arrives to remind us to get our hands dirty. No one is separate from or above anyone else. Rather, every alchemist is a kid in the laboratory, tinkering away with the elements of their life. No more fretting over your next move, fearing how others will perceive you. It's time to crack open, become who you are. The world needs your true colors. Interesting. To ponder this, the wisdom of dawn. Leucosis is related to the alchemical operation of calcinatio, calcification. If these cards appear together, it's a sign that things may have calcified, implying a kind of buildup or rigidity. The blank canvas is a great example of leucosis. It's terrifying to start for fear of making a mistake. Today is the day. Make a mark. Begin the work. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. I feel like, again, this leucosis partnered with the octopus, like that letting go. It's the start of a new personal journey, you know? The work, as in the overall collective, isn't done. It's a new beginning in the work. It's a new phase. If it's a different project, but the project that I was working on is more or less, I feel, complete. And again, this could be my ego talking. But it's like, again, like that phase, that part of the journey, it's over. And it's not that, I guess the path that I choose to walk now, that I am choosing, it requires effort from me. It requires things of me that, I mean, I've said it for literally years now. I don't know how long I'm going to be on here. um, and like I've worked before and still went live, but like last time, like that's, I wasn't live because I've been on vacation before. Like I visited my friend before, and I feel like I've still gone live, like more than I went live this past time, and it became less and less frequent. And honestly, I don't necessarily, I don't know anything or everything or what the future may hold. But if things proceed or progress as I envision them, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be atypical. Um, because again, it's this realization that we all have our own paths, we make our own choices and decisions. And I think too, it's a little bit of a realization that everyone isn't like me. And I never necessarily thought that they were. But it's like that realization is sort of sinking in a way where, again, it's like no one is necessarily asking me to pull cards, go live, give my opinion, whatever. And it's not that people necessarily have to. But again, it's just like it's tied into this. We all have our own paths, we all have our own journeys, we all reach whatever point we reach in our time. And when we hit a crossroads, because again, the collective is like, because the glass, there's the path of despair and then the path of true self empowerment. Like we make that choice. And it isn't anything that can be made for us. And again, it's just like, I don't know, I've reached or am reaching a phase where I'm just not as, I don't know, it's like things will be what they will be. Right. And so maybe that's why it's too like, I don't know, I feel like I've been living in a bubble because I don't want to say that my energy is regimented in such a way. Um, I don't necessarily know how to phrase it or word it. I don't know. It's just like, I guess, like, I'm good. It's been a long time since I've questioned seriously, since I've been fearful of my, like, well being mentally, financially, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. Um, and so I don't have legitimate worry or concern over my personal well being and abundance because I know I know I'm gonna be okay. You know what I mean? And even if I'm not, I will be. I'm not worried about that. And maybe it's just time to, yeah. And maybe that's that dead end too. Wow, the dead end is almost coming off like a dead end. But it's almost like if a maze or a labyrinth is being created or generated, right? There are certain paths that end so that other paths can continue. And it's kind of sort of like that at this point of like taking other paths. And as I take other paths, some may come to an end. And that is something that I am okay with. Especially when I like think about or consider the things that like I want, you know. I don't know. I'm feeling like because I never necessarily, maybe it's too because I've never necessarily felt that this is my work, that this is my purpose, which is why I've always had like one foot out the door or a foot barely in the door, honestly. Um, like I feel like when I first started reading, it was kind of to sort of see if I could. And then after that, it became like a whole bunch of things that were like happening and going on. Again, more so like in the world and at large than in my personal life. Um, and, you know, North Node Gemini 2020, my North Node is in Sagittarius. When the North Node moved into Gemini, it kind of activated my North Node in Sagittarius. And there were things that I felt deserved or warranted saying or mentioning, even if it's just to have another perspective out there. And again, now it just doesn't. My North Node Sagittarius is shifting into like the travel, freedom, having fun part of Sagittarius rather than the like, this needs to be spoken and it may be a hard truth to hear, it may be a harsh truth. But at the end of the day, sometimes we need to know the things that we need to know if we are truly wanting something different. And that part is just like, you know, it's not my job. Nobody asked me. I'm not on anyone's payroll as though whatever. There are other things that I desire, and it's like it's time for me to move on to those things. Because that too is the age of Aquarius. Maybe it's the age of Pisces that is past. That's like with the hierophant energy of like, I must spread this word and I must do this. I must show others the path and the way. Even though I'm always, I feel like I've always been like, your path is your path and I don't necessarily know it. So whatever your intuition discernment is telling you to do, whatever your guidance is telling you to do, whatever conversation is happening between you and the divine, honor that first and foremost. So yeah, this dead end is a dead end. Maybe in some ways I have symbolically been like the virgin that's lactating for no reason. It's like, girl, why you lactating? You ain't got no babies to feed. You ain't got no kids. What is the milk for? Why are you producing this milk that literally no one like there is no need for this, right? And so now I can stop sort of doing things that are like kind of sort of unnecessary. And it's not to say anything beyond what I'm saying, right? It's not like whatever. It's just like not. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. Oh well, thank you, Holly. Like I appreciate all of it for what it is and was. I don't. I just don't think there have been times again where I felt my voice, my personal perspective, opinion, take on things maybe helpful or beneficial. And it's not that I think it is would be less so, but I don't know. It's just like I feel like not needed as much. Is it not needed, or am I just like ready to like? I wish I could get some clarification on that. You know what? I am. I'm gonna go to the SKT and I'm gonna pull before and after the sun because the sun is the card that came out. Oh, they're right here. I already pulled them out. I'm like back there reaching. I kind of want to use the Notoria, but I have not. I don't know. It's kind of like again, like maybe it was necessary or more appropriate at some point in time, but not necessarily anymore. So, what they say, what she say, allow the world to be rewritten. So, I heard allow the world to be rewritten. I was like, I'm gonna raise you a rewrite the world, and it's like, ain't nobody say that. Patrick said that. Patrick was like, I see your allow the world to be rewritten and raise you rewrite the world. And now I'm like going back to allow the world to be rewritten. Yeah. Because anybody asked me. No one gave me that charge. That's not my purpose. That's not my mission. There are people whose purpose and mission it is to do stuff, to be here, to, it's not mine. Bottom of the deck is the Blind Seer. Interesting. This is the Two of Swords, where I was like, maybe the Two of Swords takes that Queen of Cups energy into a devil proof territory, where she's able to like delineate and differentiate her intuition from her desires, from her fears, from her traumas, from everything else. Oh, interesting. So, first, the Shining Winds came out, and then two cards came out face down that looked like one card and are kind of sort of following on the crocodile on the side of the collective that faces Patrick. That's the animal for the Patrick facing collective. It's the crocodile. Um, so here's the shining winds, the swirling gale with Mercury there. And then the archangel of healing and the archangel of glory came out on top. Angel who salves and purifies, angel of art and grace. So it's not the Queen of Cups, but we see the King of Cups with the Two of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Cool. I'm looking before and after the warrior. What was the question here? Like, that's it, right? Like, that's a wrap, right? Like, I forget what the original question was. The sun is the warrior in this deck. So it's the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is before. The Tower is after. 8 and 16. After the Tower is the Archangel Commander. So we see 3 of the Archangels here. I was like, I was going to grab the Notoria, but like, no. I'm going to cue all the Archangels anyway. Archangel Commander is like the King of Soul energy. 16 is twice 8. The 8 of Cups is here. But it's like leaving all this behind to follow these like new stars or whatever. So, and honestly, I think that was part of the point that I reached. The 3 of Swords is before the 8 of Cups. The bereaved and the defector. Oof. That's like a little heavy. That's like, you know what? And it's kind of sort of accurate to that. Like, that was one of the things that, like, the octopus has multiple legs, and again, like I said, there were many things that transpired that led me to this, like, I'm gonna focus on me, because we as individuals and as a collective, as collectives of individuals, as peoples and persons, we decide together what kind of world we're going to live in. And we have decided. Right. And I'm very much so the type of person, and maybe it's the Taurus in me, that's like, depending on the situation, depending on who I'm with, I'm not necessarily going to do something that I don't want to do. Right. So if I'm like, hey, like, I want to go to the movies today, do you want to go to the movies with me? And you're like, yeah, I would love to go to the movies. And so, like, I'm getting ready, you're getting ready, and then you're like, hey, we should invite this other person. And I'm like, okay, cool, the more the merrier. And then, like, let's say it's almost time to go to the movies, and you're like, hey, so like this other person brought up this like other idea, like they want to go out to the skating rink instead, like, and you're like, and then there's like, now there's like a consensus that's being had, right? I am drawing from personal experience. If it sounds like it, I am. Uh, it's a metaphor though, still. And they're like, hey, like, so we want to go ice skating. Like, let's go ice skating. And I was like, and I'll be like, well, I wanted to go see a movie today. And they're like, yeah, but we really want to go ice skating. So I'm like, okay, so you and everybody else, y'all go ice skating. I'm gonna do what I wanted to do, and I'm gonna go see my movie. And you don't have to come with me. It doesn't have to be this whole thing. Like, if you want to go ice skating now, that's cool. That's fine. You go do what you want to do. I'm going to still do what I want to do. And it's kind of sort of like translated over, where it's like the world is what the world is. We are individually and collectively making whatever choices and decisions as things move forward. But now it's like, I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. So all of those things that I know are mine, I am not going to sacrifice or prolong or delay or give up for the sake of somebody who don't even want what I want. You know what I mean? Or who wants to do something that I don't want to do. Like, no, it's fine. I'm going to be perfectly content by myself in this theater watching this movie. And honestly, I'm not going to say I'm going to have more fun than I would if I went ice skating with other people, because that's not necessarily always true. But today, I'm doing what I want to do. And you don't have to come with me. You don't have to join. There is no whatever. but know that I'm going to see this movie. And so again, there have been some things like that where it's like releasing this attachment and that attachment to the collective and the way that we navigate our lives and move forward, like more locally, nationally, globally, however. Excuse me. And so yeah, it's some of it has been motivated by, I guess you could say, like a deep disappointment. Um, but that's fine. And it's fine because, and maybe that's one of the things too about why we have to individually and collectively, why I believe that we're being encouraged to individually and collectively create the world that we want to live in rather than running the risk of recreating or inheriting whatever. Um, I had it and then I lost it. It's fine. It's gone. I feel like I said it without saying it. Fuck, I was like looking at this Eight of Cups again. Oh, nope. It's gone. And then on the other side is the tower. Now the tower holds the axe of Shiva that removes corruption. And we also see like the Trishula too up here. The tower is one of my birth cards. Material and spiritual colliding. Right. I think part of it was almost going, it was the magician versus was it the world? Where again, and I think, did I do that? I think, anyway. There are already people and places that align, I guess. So I don't have to continue to exert energy or effort to create where there isn't alignment. And I'm not necessarily so self important that I think that me withdrawing from anything is going to cause any like tower to happen. But also, it's just like I'm not, with the tower being partnered and paired with this Eight of Cups, I'm no longer holding myself emotionally, mentally, energetically, or spiritually responsible either. It's very much so the energy of we are all adults and we make our own choices and decisions, including we make our own choices and decisions. Now I'm going to choose the sun and I'm going to get what I know is mine. And I don't want it, I'm probably weird because I don't want it to necessarily be free of challenge. I don't want life to not be life because I know that there's always going to be some challenge in life. But I also know that like I'm going to overcome challenges in life. You know what I mean? So, anyway. So, yeah. I guess now I'm just going to be some octopus free floating in the ocean, just like living my best life. Like all those octopi that make like the prison breaks or whatever. There was this octopus in the zoo, and then they like somehow ended up in this other part. It's like, yeah, like the penguins of Madagascar. You know, it's time to it's time to make a move. Anyway, it is again. It's super interesting that three. The only archangel commander that isn't here is the archangel of mysteries because it's not a mystery. It the archangel of healing, the archangel of glory, and the archangel commander are all here. So cool. I am gonna pull because they're all here. I am just gonna get one Notoria card. I'll probably have to like read it to see what's up. ooh. Clean flip or clean fall, preferably like not 20. Ooh. So it was a clean fall, still face down, that actually came out on top of the bereaved Three of Swords. Who is this? Saturn in Libra. My Saturn is in Aquarius. My Jupiter is in Libra. So that would be Saturn conjuncting my Jupiter in Libra. The Ten of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck, which is Saturn in Gemini. Something about Saturn and the air signs. Saturn, Gemini, Saturn, Libra. And my Saturn is in Aquarius. Cool. Love a Ten of Pentacles energy. This is such interesting energy, such interesting imagery. And it's number 18, which is the moon, which is associated with Pisces, and I'm a Pisces. So it's interesting because like that angel is putting the halo on that like person. Now, I see it as the angel as putting the halo on the person. If you interpret it as the angel ripping the halo off, then how you interpret and perceive me is not my business. Anyway, it's like, let me fix your crown for you, king. It's like, okay. Anyway, the card that came out face down is the Nine of Cups, which is Jupiter and Virgo. In sidereal, my Jupiter is in Virgo. In tropical, it's in Libra. Nine of Cups, number 35. There you go. The Nine of Cups was actually at the top of the deck of the SKT when I opened it up. It was the final card the last time I used it. Yeah. I mean, Nine of Cups, Ten of Pentacles, loving this energy. The sun is here. And again, it's not that the work is over. It's not that the work is complete. It's just like a different project. It's one path that is ending with the dead end so that another can continue. Right. And I like that the canyon is here because there is the path that runs across that is broken, or there is one direction that is broken from like left to right, but there is another path that continues to run forward throughout the card, which is like on the ground. So the horizontal is broken, but the vertical continues to go out on into the horizon. So yeah, that's like kind of sort of where I am, honestly. It's like the point that I had reached right before I left, and it's where I stay. What she say, here I am and here I'll stay. Let the storm rage on. Because that ain't my tower anyway. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm not in Arendelle or whatever. If Elsa want to let it snow, let her let it snow. Hello? That's between her and her people. All right, cool. Anyway, I'm going to put this here. And then we're going to put this here. And then I'm going to get into the final one, which is the collective, which is Patrick facing. So Patrick facing, the collective facing Patrick is, let me timestamp it. So anyway. See? Yeah. After my own heart. Oh, I used to get half price appetizers. I love it. It was just a whole vibe. Patrick facing one. I already forgot the number. Oh, it's 21945. 21945. 40 45 46. Close enough. Cool. Um, so the animal is the crocodile. The alchemy is Rabus, the androgen. And again, the place is the trail. The archetype is the thread. Now, my first sort of initial reaction, question mark, my initial interpretation. My initial interpretation is that there is this androgen connected, complete energy within the collective that is more or less almost like dormant, right? And it's like from a distance you can't necessarily differentiate it from a log in the river or in the water or whatever, but it's like lurking. Maybe I should keep the self-read separate, because this is like the second time I've integrated a self-read into a collective read. But again, it's like so that people can see like who I am or where I am. And I know that where I am isn't necessarily representative of the collective experience at large, for sure, or even sometimes necessarily related to collective energies. It may be like more of a distant sort of relation. Ravis, the androgen. Let's read it. Excuse me, number 62. This is after the great work. Rebus the androgen, creative transcendence, multiplicity, and the artist. The androgen is a deeply revered image in alchemy. Born of Hermes and Aphrodite, Hermaphroditos has been classically depicted as a balanced union of divine masculine, the sun, and divine feminine, the moon. Yet today's alchemist knows the androgen is far more nuanced than that. It encompasses the infinite spectrum and reveals itself in ever changing, non binary forms. The divine hermaphrodite defies definition, as it is a deeply personal felt experience. Accessing this fluid and enlightened state requires us to slip into the contradictory realm of the senses. Breath by breath, we are drawn into our limbs, our fluids, our orifices, organs, and cells. We let go of rules and labels. Judgment is suspended. The gods are present, as are the creative mysteries of the underworld. For a brief moment, we hold all of our complexities in one loving form. Like a newborn, we know not our name, gender, age, or location. We are the embodied artist, embraced unconditionally by sun and moon. Cool. And it's here with the crocodile. Crocodile is like this powerhouse waiting to strike energy. So that like if you change your mind, then I'm the first in line came out on the true collective side. But here again, it's almost that like scientists remind the world that clean energy is ready to go whenever type energy. So it's something that is very like present, something that is very powerful, but not necessarily something that is going to move. And it's not that it's not self motivated. This is under the trail and the thread. And similarly to how in the true collective, this mountain, the illusion of the mountain is here with the glass, it's like clear that the mountain isn't there. There's also this like the two rainbows on the side in Ravis and the rainbow in the middle of the thread. But this rainbow, yeah, it's the spider. The spider is the thread. So if we climb up this thread will find that third rainbow. But again, there's like something about these things in the middle that are and aren't there. So I could look before and after judgment. I could look before and after this fighter. But I don't think I'm gonna do either. So to backtrack a little bit, in the collective facing, these are things that like, so for me, more central and core to my experience, excuse me, was this letting go. Is like there with the resin, it's these very transparent, preserved old beliefs that are sticky. But the octopus for me has been like de-sticking from these. Now, conversely, the collective, as they are going through this, like, no one is coming to save us, whatever, potentially, it's like the collective at large could be detaching from some things and finding things that resonate more with them to attach to. Um, why am I saying that? There was a reason why I brought that up. Uh, excuse me. I think this thread could also be the connection between the sun and the moon, masculine, feminine energy. And it's almost giving me that the masculine earth, that energy where it's like if the divine feminine is here, then the divine masculine is also present. We may not know where he is, but he is somewhere. If she's here, he's here. Um, and then so it's almost like there's this, I don't know, it's not the potential, I guess you could say it's the potential of a sort of unionized whole energy that is present, but like again, like the crocodile is sort of like lurking. It's this dormant powerhouse. um it's giving me the tension. I'm going to pull before and after the tension, which is the Two of Pentacles in the Revelations edition. So I use SKT for me, Vitruvian, and Revelations we're going for with the collective. Cool. Guess who's at the bottom of the deck? The Archangel Commander is at the bottom, and then the Ten of Pentacles, the Dynasty, was the last card. You see the Sun and the Moon in the Dynasty, just like you see the Sun and the Moon in Ravis, but I'm focusing more on the thread than the Sun and the Moon here. So last time I used it, that was the final card. I'll show you why I'm looking before and after the tension when I find it. The Five of Pentacles Vagabond just flipped over. If it falls out, then it's not relevant to either. But that was more so in the beginning. This Vagabond is irrelevant to this androgen, to this powerhouse, which is interesting. And again, it almost falls under the umbrella of that, like, no one is coming to save us energy. Because it's almost like we would think that if we're in this Five of Pentacles Vagabond out in the cold energy, then we would be entitled to, for lack of a different word, then we would be entitled to some kind of like divine intervention or divine assistance or help. Like we are in whatever state that we're in, and if the divine is real and loving, like people say, then like we should be receiving whatever. And because it fell out, it's like this has no bearing or no effect whatsoever on this androgen crocodile energy, on this dormant powerhouse. Like it doesn't matter. Which could be interpreted, feels a little cold. Um, but it's one of those like God helps those who help themselves types. Anyway, cool. We're gonna cut it there. I'm looking for the joined one. Two of Cups is at the bottom of the deck. I'm looking for the tension, and the Conservator is behind it. The Conservator was at the bottom of the deck, or this Conservator was second from the bottom in the other edition too. Cool. If you change your mind. I wish I knew where I heard that. Because I know I didn't hear the ABBA song. I know that for sure. Unless it was like in a movie or something. Just like how there's like a bunch of ABBA songs in Mamma Mia. But I don't think I even heard the whole song. It was just that line. So many cards to go through. I hope I didn't overlook it when I was trying to think of. Oh, oh my gosh! Before the tension is the title card. After the tension is the Five of Cups, the grotesque. That's why I pulled before and after the tension. Is that thread like fraying, or is it coming together? The Lovers is before the title card, and the Contender is after. So the Five of Wands is after the Five of Cups. There's so many cards on table right now. So hungry. I thought she had a call at noon. Number one fan, and their number one fan. We supposed to be going to the gym. 2.5 hours. Cool. Why do I have an extra card here? Oh, that's the Vagabond that fell out. It's because Mars and Scorpio sextile Jupiter and Capricorn. So it was an image with the frayed thread. Oh, see. So there's almost this like, yes, there's like 3 rainbows, but the one in the middle is missing, replaced by the spider web and the thread, and we see the thread there. But it's almost like it's this way. So if we have like this rainbow and then we flip it that way, and this thread connects the both of them, that's kind of sort of how I was seeing it. And then that's why I pulled this, because it's like that's one, that's the other one, that's the thread in between them. The balance of the sun and the moon, we also see that, just like Ravis said. So we still get that sun and the moon, but they're not quite yet balanced here. Now, why is this Patrick facing? I don't know. So the title card is here. The title card for me is the BTFUSTF, you mind your business card. Sometimes it could be to our disadvantage to know something before we have the capacity to understand it or the wisdom to interpret it. And in those cases, I say they're covered by the title card. There's something that if we knew now, it may actually be more detrimental than if we are to continue to remain ignorant of it, or to not know at the very least. Like, let's say, for example, for instance, low hanging fruit metaphor, you meet the love of your life when you are like 35, like you're both 35. So you've gone through your rebellious teens, you've gone through your party 20s, and then you sort of like hit your maturation, like you're starting to mature and you're starting to change. And you are compatible at this point of your development. With you being who you were in high school and this person being who they were in high school, if you would have met then it's like it would have completely soured this sort of relationship. Or in the party days of the 20s, like there is a compatibility that exists now that didn't necessarily exist before. And not only did it not exist before, but if you had known this person, it may have turned you off from them to the point where when you're 35 you wouldn't have even given them a chance, and they're the love of your life. You met them, you meet them when you're supposed to. So like with a company, right? Let's say that there is a company that is kind of sort of run into the ground, but then at some point under new management it becomes really successful. If you are like that one Eddie Murphy movie where his daughter had, she was like a business psychic, like these two companies are going to marry, and then there's the merger or whatever. I think that was Eddie Murphy. It could have been somebody else. But if you have this like psychic business sense, or if you were to go like 30 years into the future and be like, wow, this company is mega successful, but you buy in when it's under the old management before it like tanks, as it's tanking with that information, if you buy in early, then you're probably gonna like sell, right? And so it's like you bought in when it was under old management and it was on the decay. After that, it gets taken over by someone else, and then there's like the rebound and it becomes really successful. We know what we're supposed to know when we're meant to know it sometimes. And it can be detrimental, more so because of the human condition. It can be detrimental if we were exposed to some kind of knowledge before, right? So, in a way, it could be, with the world being what it has been and with people being who we have been. So, like, let's say a world before people started opening up and talking about like mental health and other stuff, when we more collectively chose to sort of suffer in silence. And because of the suffering in silence, there was baggage that we were carrying that caused us to maybe not necessarily act in our best interests always. And if we had gotten access to then what we stand in a position to receive now, it could have turned out like completely differently, right? But ultimately, with the grotesque, this crocodile lies deep inside of you. And so when you reach the point of seeing it and acknowledging it, and when the sun and the moon are balanced internally, then it's like this thing sort of comes online. And that's the alchemy, the Patrick facing alchemy. So something that's maybe more pertinent to the collective, but that I'm also experiencing, in a way, just like the octopus in resin was maybe more pertinent to me, that the collective is also experiencing in a way. Um, and I think for me personally, I could see this being, for me, it's kind of sort of a journey of maybe like acceptance more so than a journey of discovery. And maybe for the collective, it's more so a journey of discovery than a journey of acceptance, which is why it's like similar, but maybe a different take. Not that there hasn't been any discovery in the self, but again, it's more so like acceptance. Um, yeah. So what's this post full moon Gemini? I don't know. I don't know. I just saw a big yellow moon over the gym when I left yesterday. So, cool. I guess it's time for final cards now. 2 hours and 40 minutes. 240. Cool. So I guess we're gonna go in reverse order in which I put them down. I think I'll eat it now. Patrick, you already ate your chocolate bar. And your short-term memory and desire for a chocolate bar is not gonna make me forfeit mine. Hello? You should have savored it. What are you talking about? It's that episode of SpongeBob where they were stranded in the wilderness, and SpongeBob was like, "I got these 2 chocolate bars," and Patrick ate his like immediately, and then he looked at SpongeBob that was like, "You got my chocolate bar." SpongeBob's like, "You ate yours, okay?" That was also the episode where they were like in the cold, and I think SpongeBob had built a fire, and then Patrick was like, or did Patrick build a fire? One of them had built the fire, and the other one was like, I think Patrick was like, wait, if we're underwater, then how is there a fire? Now that could be sort of like someone who would question or defy or stick to logic in the presence of a miracle and basically like not receive it. It's like if we're cold and there's a fire underwater, I don't think we have to question the logic of it right now. We can question the logic of this when we're back in the comfort of our own home, you know? How was that fire there? Like, I don't know. It must have been like a miracle or something. Like, so wild how that was there when we needed it rather than being like in a time of need and like refusing it because whatever. You know what I mean? Like one of those, let's talk about this when we get back home types of things. Bread of Life just came out, which is the Ace of Pentacles with the Corruptor at the bottom of the deck. But the Corruptor, Seven of Cups in the Revelations edition, holds the axe of Shiva that removes corruption. Each of these 7 options, each of the 7 cups is associated with a different deadly sin. So as they are, none of them are necessarily viable. But with the axe of Shiva that also includes looking at ourselves and not just the world around us, any one of these can become viable because it's like it cleanses the poison in the cup, right? And then the Shining Gale, Knight of Swords, comes out immediately. Winds of the Self with the Eminence, 9 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Okay. All right, now I'm ready. Final card from the SKT, please. Final card from the SKT, please. The Tower and the Politic. Again, with the axe of Shiva that removes corruption and the politic. Interesting. I think so. Low hanging fruit. There are some things in life that aren't inherently toxic, troublesome, or problematic. Sometimes it's more so what we do with it or how we've experienced it. And so, just like hierophantic structures, organizations in general, again, they're not necessarily inherently bad, but if there is someone who's like running it in a certain type of way, then of course it can be. But again, like the corruptor, like that, if you can remove the corruption from something and render it like viable, the whole thing doesn't necessarily have to be done away with. Anyway, all right, final card. Sure. That was a dirty flip, but we'll take it. It is the champion, Jupiter in Leo. Jupiter ain't going to be in Leo for at least a little bit. And again, I'm not, it's fine. We don't have to look at Jupiter in Leo. The sharpshooter. Jupiter in Leo, trine Mercury in Sagittarius. Jupiter is in Gemini, sextiling the Mars that is in Leo that was trining the Mercury in Sagittarius. Anyway, the sharpshooter. There's an energy of alignment here. There's so this these 8 wands, there are 4 heavenly wands and 4 earthly wands, right? There's this alignment between the above and below that speeds something up. Instead of it being, um, Eve, where you at? It's blurry. I'm kidding. So instead of it being like this is a movement that's happening in the heavens and this is something that's happening on earth that causes us to question, doubt, maybe not necessarily believe or align with how things are moving in the heavens or vice versa, there's like an energy of competition there that slows them down, slows things down. I think the androgen mentioned alignment. Um, but when we work in tandem with, when we work in ways that are aligned to how things are moving, then of course things get a lot faster. Because instead of like working against the energy, we're working with the energy. Cool. And then again, the champion, 6 of Wands, is there. It's because of the things that we've overcome personally within our own individual experiences that make it easier to align with certain things, or that makes it possible to see certain things. But it's like it's this thing that's further out, because to go from the 6 of Wands to the 4 of Wands, like there's a difference of 2 of Wands, and it's the 2 of Wands in an aspect of like the future or what lays beyond the castle walls, right? And again, it's aligning to that. But it's again, it's because we've overcome what we've overcome that we are better able or more capable of doing that. So cool. Kudos to you. Kudos to you for all the work that you do and you've done and that you will do. Ba-da-ba. So there's this deck. Next was the Notoria. Again, I'm putting them away in the order that I read them. I was going to say in the order I pulled them out in, but as I pulled them from their homes, it's not necessarily the order I used them yet. Okay. Notoria. One final card, please. Clean flip or clean fall. A clean flip or clean fall. That felt like a flip. It was. I was like, that felt like a flip, but I don't know if it was. It was. We have the Ace of Pentacles. And again, we saw. There's a card still on the table. We're not done. We're not done with the SKT. The Ace of Pentacles is the bread of life that we saw at first. I forget where, but we saw that bread of life. This is Uriel, and Uriel is angel number 75. Honestly, so there are 2 things that stand out to me. The first is the book that Uriel is holding, almost giving some high priestess vibes. But the second is like there's a halo on top of a halo, which is giving. It's like any TV show, anime more specifically, where you see spell circles and they're like one lined up after the other, like it amplifies something, or a glass beyond a glass that again like amplifies something. Um, Either it converges it onto a point and intensifies it, or it makes it wider. Bottom of the deck is the Nine of Pentacles, 9IL. This is interesting. It's interesting because 9IL is like putting the pentacle in their mouth. This Ace of Pentacles was the bread of life. And it's like, again, Ace of Pentacles here. If it is the bread of life, then 9IL is like eating the bread of life, which has a communion energy, but not necessarily. This is interesting. I mean, it's 9IL eating it, or is it going towards or away from the mouth? Ooh. I'll read 75. Oh, well, it would help if I pulled the book out, wouldn't it? Sure would. Oh, I think 9IL was number 9. Cool. Number 75. Let's get to the English. 9IL, 53. 9 of Pentacles. I opened the book to God who humbles the proud. 9IL enables us to contemplate the divine world, leading us to become a veritable tabernacle that will spur us on to communication, inspiring us for difficult work or decisions, and prompting us to research, study, or meditate. Its energy, however, will become stern and rigorous. If, aware of our newly acquired abilities, we exercise uncalled for self-confidence and excessive pride, characteristics that will lead to work grinding to a halt, stifled by our egos. It belongs to the principalities, and it's associated with the sun in Sagittarius. I did not even catch that that was sun in Sagittarius. That is literally sun in Sagittarius. LOL. That's why I thought it was number 9, because it's the 9 of Pentacles, 9 of Earth. Interesting. The 10 of Pentacles was the final card. The last time I used the SK2 Revelations, we've seen the 10 of Pentacles. Cool. 9 plus the ace is the 10. So that was this that I didn't necessarily think I would read. I was looking for the 75. 75 of Uriel, God who inflames. Archangel Uriel transmits an active and dazzling energy, focused and directed toward expansion on the plane of manifestation. Uriel also represents the ability to handle all issues related to our bodies, work, social relationships, and the material world, always keeping our eyes on a higher and broader work. His action could lead to sudden changes, not always desired, reminding us how nature shows and gives lessons in the time we are allowed in this world so that our inner temple becomes gold and reflects in the outer one. Belongs to the archangels, and it's associated with Uranus and Aquarius. There's something about that pentacle, something about the bread of life that the 9 of Pentacles was like putting in their mouth. Take it as it resonates. I'm not even going to postulate what I think it might be. Is that the word I wanted? I think it's the word I wanted, but I may be very wrong about that. Hey Google, define postulate.
Here's the definition of postulate: suggest or assume the existence, fact, or truth of something as a basis for reasoning, discussion, or belief.
Yes. So it's postulate, not postulate. I mean, because it's a verb, I just feel like postulate makes more sense. Like contemplate, you know? Postulate feels like a noun. Is that a thing? I don't know. Postulate feels like a noun to me. Postulate feels like a verb. Postulate feels like something that someone has postulated. This is my postulate. I have postulated. And when, anyway, it's fine. Cool. So I realized that I forgot to put the Vagabond Five of Pentacles away. So this deck is not done. We did not get the final card. So we most recently seen the champion and the sharpshooter. Maybe it's because the champion and sharpshooter, like first there's the champion that occurred, and then there's this alignment with the sharpshooter. Like they're both on the same page. And then maybe after they're both on the same page, there's that Ace of Pentacles bread of life that is presented that one eats, and then their inner divinity activates. That inner divinity being the androgen, being the balance between divine masculine, divine feminine, to it's like reunionized and just becomes like divine energy. Right. The bread of life that is presented. And the angels, we saw the person like eating that. Interesting. Cool. That energy isn't necessarily entirely unrelated to the last Iced Coffee Chronicles that had the challenge of the Four of Cups, but there was like somebody that was like giving the answer. And then it was like the person is giving them some. Oh, we got a clean flip. And it's the Chariots. Again, so from that alignment to like movement, it feels like it's one thing to be stationarily aligned, right? When everything is going great in life and we are happy and there's no challenge or whatever, it's easy to be aligned to whatever. But when we have to move and maintain that alignment, when we have like when we go through things and we're still asked, not that we're necessarily asked, when we go through things and we still continue to choose to remain in that alignment, that's when like again there's something about like being on the same page. Bottom of the deck is the defector, which is the Eight of Cups, which is still down here on the table. So we've seen the Eight of Cups in 3 out of the 4 tarot decks today. And again, it's still on the table over here too. But there's some greater revelation here. And again, like going back to the crocodile, with that being a metaphor for Rebus, the androgen, when our divine masculine and divine feminine are both online and in union, it's just like a whole non-fractured divine energy. Um, we see the person of the water that remains on this side while this other continues on the land. And it feels like that's the crocodile coming out of the water. Not only surfacing like we see it in the crocodile, but that has come out of the water. And for a lot of mammals, their earlier ancestors were the ones that made that transition for a lot of land based, I guess, animals. There was an ancestor at one point that went from water to land. So this is like significant. But again, it's not surprising the because again, there's something about the bread of life Ace of Pentacle that the Nine of Pentacles was putting in their mouth that it's almost like if there was, it just like it activates, bro. I don't know. Somebody goes like full creator mode. You know what I mean? You eat the pinnacle, and then you're never the same. Like, and just like symbolically, that like going from the water to the land, the implied leap beyond a leap that that sort of like entails is really interesting. And then we have here the chariot of Osiris, which again almost plays that left, right, center that we kept seeing in the collective, on the collective side at least. But instead of it being the full moon in the center, there's the sun on her headband. We see the waxing and waning crescents, but the sun in the middle. The moon is a reflection of the sun, but this isn't a reflection, it's the whole thing. So again, it's something where the when the two parts come together, it's an energy that's greater than the sum of its parts. Like you don't get the moon, you don't get a full moon when the waxing and waning crescent comes together. You get a whole gosh darn sun, which is the light that the moon reflects in the first place. Which again, it feels like it's symbolic. Um, you know, it's all symbolism, metaphor. Let's say you have like your earth angel who is like the angel on earth type energy that is something embodied, but because it's embodied, there's something that it like loses. It's almost like we are mirrors. We are moons that reflect our truest nature of the sun, right? So like when you say I is not the ego. I is not whatever. I is something greater than that. And usually to be embodied is to be inherently like diminished in some way. But you eat the bread of life, and then instead of being a mirror, you are the sun. Instead of reflecting or projecting from the source of whoever, your soul or whatever, you just, it's like this pure embodiment. And it's just like raw, primal power. I didn't have to say it like that, but you know, it's that kind of energy. Interesting. And again, going back to the energy last time with the Four of Cups, it's like if someone is to ever within their life reach or attain a certain level of whatever, then it's almost like they have always reached that point. And it's partly because, so in one's linear experience, you are born, and then as you are living, there's something that happens, and then you are elevated beyond whatever. Maybe you are the Bodhisattva, the Elijah, the Enoch, who's still alive, ascends. But once you ascend, you enter that realm of timelessness. So now you exist before you were even born. You know what I mean? Because you're removed from linear time. And so, because you're removed from linear time, it's like you can exist simultaneously. But the non-linear version of the self like helps or assists the linear version of the self until that point where it becomes non-linear to ensure the integrity of the timeline or whatever. Because again, if it doesn't happen, then it never happens, and then it's like undone. But if it ever happens, then it's already happened because you are no longer bound by time. And that energy did. I don't think I necessarily went into it like that deep or said that much on it, but the energy was there. That's present. That's why I said like if you ever reach this point, then you would have always sort of like reached this point or whatever. Cool. And the foundation for that specific interpretation, when that energy comes through for me, most specifically comes from Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, where you find out that one of the summoned spirits, or one of the champions, is actually a character. So you see the character, you're introduced to this character, and you get to see their divine aspects or whatever before it's revealed that that character is one of the main characters, and we're almost like watching their origin. Spoiler alert. All right. Final card from, oh girl, that was quick. Final card from the SKT. Revelations number 12, The Outlaw. There was a difference of 30, which is Hangman Outlaw, between the 40 of the Dead End and the 70 of the Thread. Cool. This is Sacrifice and Redemption. Hanging from the Ankh. There's the snake. There's the glyph of Neptune. We also see again the sun and the moon in the eyes. The eyes feed information to the brain that the brain interprets it. Two eyes, one mind. The eye of the sun and the eye of the moon. Interesting. Bottom of the deck is the Tower, material and spiritual colliding. Oh, look, we see the two waning crescents again. I mean, what else is there to see? You know? Let me stop. After I wash my hair, it's just like so straight. There's like barely a kink or curl, probably because it's still like weighted by the water, unless it's like on my shoulder and then it like curls like this one, you know. Ouch. I'm gonna like yank this thing out of my ear. Let me stop. Ooh, Chiron and Leo, wait. Sorry. Sorry. All right. All right, all right, all right, all right. So, thank you, Holly. I appreciate it when it's straighter, but I also appreciate it when like I get a two-strand twist, and when I first take it down and it still has like all of the curls in it, I'm like, okay. And then as soon as I wash it, like the upper majority of the curls come out. So maybe I need to find some kind of like routine where I can. Anyway, it's fine. Like I said in the beginning of the video, we're not here for me to talk about my hair. It's definitely been a journey that I am still on, for sure. Holy water, Ace of Cups, the purifying with the Tower, the purify, and again the Axe of Shiva that removes corruption. I already got my final card, so we're just gonna say that's at the cut in there. I was gonna give it another shuffle, but I don't have to. Sacrifice and redemption with the purifying, the material and the spiritual colliding. There is a sacrifice redemption segment of the journey or flavor of the journey. But with the purifying, there is also a segment or another flavor where we realize that we don't It's like we realize that we have already been redeemed, so we don't need to seek redemption. And that causes this overlaying, where the material and the spiritual can simultaneously exist and occur within the same body. Now, this could be like this collision could take on any kind of nature. It can be destructive or it could be harmonious and cohesive. We saw the more harmonious one in the SKT Vitru Revelations in the colored one, right? And then we saw the Nine of Pentacles eating the Ace of Pentacles to attain the Ten of Pentacles. Usually, the Ten of Pentacles involves multiple people, but it's like the multiple people that are involved in this 10, it's the same person. Right. Cool. Next is the Tarot. Wild Unknown. The Wild Unknown Tarot. Cool. Ooh, that was the Chariot. I just put the Sun and the deck on top of the Chariot. We just saw a Chariot. There's the Fool and Judgment. Cool. All right, final cards. Please, clean flip or clean fall. Clean flip or clean fall. I want a clean flip or clean fall. We get Temperance. Bottom of the deck is the Four of Swords. Oh, look. Excuse me, 4-4. The Four of Swords and the Emperor. This is such an interesting energy. That's interesting. In my vision, I just had like a, you know how sometimes, maybe you don't personally know, but you know how sometimes if you stare at the sun and you get that like bright whatever that's in your vision until it clears up. It's almost like I had a little one. Interesting. Um, oh my gosh, how do I explain this? Visually, I'll take you on the visual journey. Okay. So the visual journey is one of the third eye being externalized. Right? There's this like lit third eye. And then it's almost like if you could take your third eye and just like throw it up into the sky. That's this. When the third eye is in the socket, it almost receives, but when you cast it up into the sky, it projects, if that makes sense. I mean, it could still receive when it's up in the sky, right? Like a remote viewing type thing, whatever. And then with this temperance, it almost feels like temperance implies a balance between the receiving and projection of this. Which is interesting. You are, it's almost like that whole you are the creator experiencing its own creation. And so it's like if you could simultaneously be in the parade and get a bird's eye view of the parade. That's like this temperance sort of balance. Don't ask me. Don't ask questions. Well, don't ask me questions because I don't know. Next was the animals. Animal. Am I ever gonna make it to the gym? I do have an appointment at 3. So, and I'm probably not gonna want to go after my appointment. I'm not gonna want to do anything. All right, final animal. Animal. No. Final animal. It's almost 2 o'clock. Oh my gosh. Oof. I don't know. I don't know. Ooh, the cosmic egg and the buffalo. All right. We need to wrap this up. It's been 3 hours. All right. Final animal. Ooh. It's the scorpion, but that fall, I mean, it failed. The scorpion and the rabbit, the sting of fear. It's almost like the sting of fear can be immediate, but it's not necessarily long lasting, or it doesn't have to be long lasting, right? It can be this like sharp thing that we like get over, and then it's like, okay. All right. Flip or fall. Clean flip or clean fall. It was a dirty fall, so that's why. Clean flip or clean fall, please. I think that was a clean flip. It was a clean flip of the hummingbird. Bottom of the deck is the cheetah. Both of these are like really fast. This is almost giving me that 8 of Wands energy again. Something in the external seen realm is moving very quickly. Something in the internal in the dark is also moving like just as quickly. And they're heading in the same direction. But this is like a birth canal type energy. So like what's in the dark is coming to the light. And it's almost like maybe it's nesting because it's coming so quickly. The external is also like adjusting just as quickly. Right? It's like if you are at home and you're pregnant and you're already dilated or the contractions have already started or whatever. So you have your hospital bag packed, and then they're like, whenever there's a certain amount of time between the contractions, that's when you know that the baby is coming. So like the bag was already packed, everything was already ready. And then it's like as the baby gets closer, it's like, okay, now it's time to go. So that as the baby is arriving, we are already in the hospital and we're not delivering in the back seat of the car. Some babies are born in the back seats of cars, some babies are born in the bathtub upstairs or downstairs. That's not the point. To be where you need to be for the thing to be birthed. But they're like both moving at speed. Cool. I almost left more cards. I need to go. I need to go. Ooh, I got 13 minutes. 13 minutes and 3 decks. Come on. I'm gonna have to get it together. I'm gonna have to get it together. Together. I'm getting hungry. Uh-oh. Sound like trouble coming down the hallway. All right. Alchemy. Well done on Alchemy. I want a clean flip or a clean fall. 2 cards at the most, please. If there are more, I will consider. More than 5 is too much. 1, I guess. I don't know. I'm feeling like 2. 2 would be like, oh, okay. That's 1 that immediately flipped over. What immediately flipped over is Spring. Where? Number 20? No, number 17. Bottom of the deck is Vinegar, 34. 17 and 17 is 34. Too much spring can be a bad thing. That's interesting. Too much spring can be like vinegar. Didn't necessarily expect that. I don't know if it's like too much too soon. I mean, there is an order to things. And sometimes there is an importance to the preservation of that order. Sometimes it's, can be whatever. Blossoming, becoming the horizon. When spring arrives, our eyes lift from the work and we peer out the window of our laboratory. We realize Earth has been in its own transformational spin, readying itself for a new era of growth. In a state of wonder, the alchemist sets aside the work of winter and opens the door, stepping into spring. When this card arrives, it indicates a blossoming, a coming into one's own. It's generation time. You may be dreaming up a business plan, humming a new melody, or flirting with a special someone. Spring is the season of the East, where the sun rises and lights the world. You do not have to work on anything during this phase. Let the energy of the season push through. You made it through winter, and the bulbs burst on their own. So maybe too much of spring being a bad thing is like in the case where there is still work to do. Or if there's like this premature walking away from the work, and it's almost giving an energy that's like, how in winter sometimes nowadays you'll get like a warm day, a warm week. And so sometimes maybe like the plants think, oh, it's springtime. Whoa, this ain't 2 o'clock. Hold up. Is it at 2 or 3? Is it 2 or 3? It's at 3. So it can, like when spring becomes vinegar, it could be like that, where it's like it's a warm week and everything is blossoming, everything is blooming. We're like, oh my gosh. And then the cold comes back because we're still in the middle of winter. Or it could be like at some point there's going to be a need to return to the work. Now, what we return to, the work of spring isn't necessarily the work of winter. So it doesn't have to be the thing that we left. It can be different. But again, there are different things for every season. So cool. Now, the places also, yes. Excuse me. Because there's a seasonality to everything, there is almost an impermanence of something, right? Oh my gosh, there's one more alchemy face down on the table. How did I miss it? I did say 2. Here it is face down. Oh, it's just vinegar. I forgot to put the vinegar away. So I guess when I picked up the cards, it stuck. Under vinegar is the milk of the virgin. In reverse. That's interesting. Vinegar has the power to overwhelm the senses. That could be whatever spring brings. Like if we're in the middle of winter and it's been really cold, then of course we are going to be desirous of spring. We're going to be desirous of not only the return of warmth, but also the return of life. But again, like too much spring, especially if it's not sustainable, can be more detrimental. That's when you get losses because like all the crops, all the flowers, everything begins to bloom and then like winter isn't over. Or a cold front comes in and so it all freezes and like dies. Almost like a false start. It's not that we can't enjoy those warmer days. I don't know. So we get the airport. This card has been coming a lot lately. Departures and arrivals. Adventures await. Bottom of the deck is the police station. What's that? Go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We're going on a trip to the police station. Wait. Law enforcement's home, order maintained. This is almost giving me the eight of it's more so the octopus, the personal alchemy that was facing the collective of like there are things that like there's just a re-establishment of priorities, and as our priorities change, then sometimes our alignment changes to reflect those priorities. And so some things are arriving, some things are departing in order to maintain some kind of order. It's like the board is being shuffled. Or it's like when the holidays come and some of the parents are like, hey, so, sometimes in order to receive, we must first give. So gather up a number of your toys that you don't want anymore, that you don't play with anymore, and we can find someone who will enjoy these, and then you will get new things that you enjoy. So, some toys come, and while they come, others go. The one. Interesting. Number 30. All right, and now we're putting this one away. The shapeshifter, the forest, and Alethea. Ooh, raw. I gotta go. Cool. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Okay. Claim clip or claim fall. Final card less than 4. Oh gosh. So 3 fail and 1 flipped over. 2 flipped over. Oh gosh. Oh, interesting. So altogether there's 5. But they're broken up. So I guess I'll take them. The ones that fell out face down. The ones that flipped over obviously flipped over face up. Bottom of the deck is Apocalypsis, which I believe is about veils falling. It's the revelation of certain truths. Apocalypsis is number 74. Removing the veil of deception. And then we have Thanatos and the mask, which is interesting. Removing the veil of deception and then the mask of Thanatos is like being removed. Thanatos is number 73. I'm going to read it real quick. Thanatos is death. It is tempting to oversimplify death and sum it up as transformation. But the true archetypal resonance of Thanatos cannot be easily assimilated or contained. Death is ongoing and omnipresent, an eternal response to the gift of birth. Witnessing the ending of another being, creature, phase, or stage has deep consequences for the psyche. We are forever changed by Thanatos as it sweeps us under its wings, making us relinquish control in every form. It leaves a mark of ash upon our heart, signifying we have touched the cusp of the underworld and will return to the land of the living eventually, with more compassion and wisdom to share. This capacity is needed in our world. One who has faced the annihilation of Thanatos can face anything. When this card appears, it signifies an initiation into the underworld. This feels like it almost sort of like there's this throughput that I don't necessarily completely understand. See ya, Holly. It's interesting. And again, it's like the Eight of Cups where something was going from land to water, which we can recognize as an evolutionary leap. It's like the mask is coming off of not necessarily the energy of death. Like we view death as some of us the end, some of us a transformation or a new beginning. And all of its complexities, like the mask is coming off and this veil of deception is falling. So there's something that we're going to be able to see clearer. And then we have the venom, the orphan, and the ring. The venom is number 63, the orphan is 5, and the ring is 57. The venom, the orphan, and the ring. This, to me, it symbolizes an attachment to narratives that we don't understand. There are narratives that we create and generate to make sense of the world, but something is not that simple. There isn't necessarily something that's like clean and concise and nice and neat to explain something. Now, because it's the venom, it's a narrative that it hurts. It's not necessarily beneficial, it's more detrimental, but it's like pain that's used to describe pain. Can be pain that's used to describe pain, because why else would something like hurt as much as it does if it's not rooted in some kind of pain? Why would things be what they are if it's not because of something like great and terrible or something like that? And that is the illusion that we're going to get the truth of. So low hanging fruit, someone thinks that they've been like abandoned in some kind of way, but in reality, someone is like gone, right? And then it's like, oh. So anyway, I hope you have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting on 33344, 33345. An amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, you find. And until next time, happy today.